I was a practicing clinician working in a home health agency model. I wasn't allowed to dose my patients as per best practice guidelines. So I said, there's gotta be a way to do this better.
My grandmother and my grandfather, I started seeing them going in and out of long-term care. It started personal, seeing the sick side of 80, and now it's been exciting to be part of Fox.
Light bulb moment.
Like, that's a complete game changer.
You can see what we can do as a practice and as treating clinicians to really make 80, 85 look so much different than it did back that long ago.
And boil it down into one saying, it's quite simply this. It's be stronger, live better longer.
Welcome to Fox Rehabilitation's Live Better Longer podcast, the podcast dedicated to clinicians who work with older adults. If you don't know, if you're new to the podcast, Fox Rehabilitation, we do physical, occupational, and speech therapy for older adult patients. And we come to you, whether it be your house, apartment, or senior living community. And I'm excited about today's episode because it's all about APTA's Combined Sections Meeting, also known as CSM, which is happening next week in San Diego, California. For all of those in the know, for all of you physical therapists, you know that this is PT Palooza. I think there's going to be like 14 or 15,000 people there this year. So today's episode will help you come up with a game plan, whether you're attending in person or you're enjoying it from afar. And I will be joined by APTA's Senior Vice President of Member Experience, Jason Bellamy. Jason will be at CSM, and you can't miss him at APTA's booth. And I think it's kind of unfair to call it a booth. It's almost like a mini village as soon as you walk into the convention center. So APTA's Jason Bellamy is going to be breaking down CSM 2023 in mere moments. But before we bring on Jason, just want to let everyone know that Fox Rehabilitation, we will be at CSM 2023. So please visit us in booth 2521 in the main exhibit hall. By the way, I love our number this year because we are celebrating our 25th anniversary, so it's really easy to remember. And when we got our booth number, I almost wanted to call APTA and see if we could make it 2525 to be totally thematic, but it's fine. 21's a good number, so find us at 2521. And as an added incentive, if you stop by 2521, we are calling it Fox Rehabilitation's Supercharge Lounge. Not only can you charge your phone, but we are also giving you a caffeine charge in the form of coffee. So if you start your morning off and there's a huge coffee line at your hotel or a huge coffee line at Starbucks, stop by our Supercharge Lounge. And while you're there, strike up a conversation with a Fox Rehabilitation colleague. And who knows, maybe later on down the line, or maybe even later this year, you start working with Fox Rehabilitation. You could be a guest on this podcast. So make sure to stop by and chat with us at CSM this year. All right, so now it is time to preview CSM 2023, and the man breaking it all down right now is APTA's Senior Vice President of Member Experience, Jason Bellamy. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. I'm fired up, almost as fired up as you.
Well, this is a big CSM preview episode, so I'm glad you could do this.
Yeah, happy to be here. Pumped to be going to San Diego very soon, and not just because it's in San Diego. CSM is always a high point of the APTA calendar, a great moment for our association, a great moment for our members, the chance to reconnect with each other, a chance to push themselves forward in their career. So it's certainly something we look forward to every year, but the fact that it's in San Diego definitely makes it special.
Now, were you at CSM last year in San Antonio?
I was. They had their coldest weather all year the week we were there. I'm hoping the same thing does not happen in San Diego.
You would think not, hopefully.
You would think not. We thought San Antonio was safe as well. But yeah, San Diego should be great. It's always been one of my favorite spots to go for a conference. Just a great area, lots of energy, great to be on the water. It always just feels like a good place to spend time with people, and you enjoy the time that you're in the conference, but then you enjoy every second that you're walking between sessions and outside too. And when you can get all that in one package with quick transportation from the airport and all that, you're in a pretty good situation.
So Jason, last year was my first CSM. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but since we're talking about weather, it was bone chilling.
It was super freezing cold.
I can't even explain it because I'm from New York City, and I would turn to my colleagues and I would say, this is worse than New York City.
Well, and there was a day that many local businesses in San Antonio shut down. And so we were one of the only things sort of operating in town, which was not a contingency we were expecting when we went to Texas in winter. Yeah.
But you know what we said all last year? We said, well, San Diego next year.
That is what we said. And we're looking forward to it.
All right. So before we officially preview CSM, for those that don't know, because they hear the acronym CSM, can you break down combined sections meeting? What are these sections? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So APTA has 18 specialty sections. Sections are academies, right? And so that's, pediatrics, geriatrics, neurology, private practice, orthopedics, sports, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I apologize. I'm not going to, for the ones I didn't name, but I won't name all 18. And APTA has a long-standing reputation of putting on this meeting that is like what it sounds. It's the combination of all those meetings, all those sections, having a national meeting together. And so what that means is you're taking 18 sections and academies, which are putting their content together, and that results in 350 plus educational sessions. That results in more than 1,000 posters, and it obviously results in lots of attendees. And we assume we're going to get more than 14,000, 15,000 people participating in this conference over the couple days there in San Diego. So it's huge. It's the biggest physical therapy conference in the country, one of the biggest in the world. In some years has been the biggest in the world. And so it's something we're very proud of, and it's unlike anything else you're going to find.
Can you explain the posters for those that don't know what that is?
So one of the great things about posters is the opportunity for people to present their research. And so we get tremendous activity from, in particular, younger PTs often who have been working on research projects either through their schooling or early in their careers and want to be able to present those results. And so they get those on these great posters. They stand and present their posters in the exhibit hall. They show their work and what they have been putting into their time into. And it's just a great way to see what individuals are doing and see their growth and give them feedback. And certainly we have people who go through the exhibit hall and go through the poster section as much to interact with the people and sort of hear their drive and their passion as much as to find out what they learned. What did they learn on the journey that now they're presenting the results here in their poster? And so that's definitely a thing that if you're going to CSM, I would make some time for. It's part of what is a massive exhibit hall, but it's definitely one of the most energetic spots at CSM.
It's like a starting point. Like you do your little poster presentation, and then one day you may present proper at CSM.
You may. And in fact, that's one of the things that I should go ahead and plug now. The dates to be a speaker for proposals to be a speaker at CSM 2024 is coming right up. So that's something people should be thinking about now and not waiting to think about until after they've been to San Diego.
And the attendance this year, are you expecting more people this year than last year?
Absolutely. So last year we had, over 9,000 people in San Antonio. This year we're going to have over 14,000 conservatively. Add in other folks, probably 15,000 people or so on site. A tremendous turnout. And we do expect we may get more kind of last minute attendees than normal, just based on the number of people who are within driving range of San Diego.
So CSM is back. Now, the reason the number was a little lower last year is because we were coming off the pandemic. And that was the first CSM in person since 2019, right?
Since 2020.
Since 2020.
So we squeaked out 2020 just when people were starting to talk about the pandemic, but nobody knew what it really meant yet. We were very fortunate to do that. We were very fortunate that there was no massive breakout or anything. We got it just in under the wire before the world started shutting down. And then, we went to virtual the following year, and then we were back in person last year. And you're exactly right. Several things were happening last year. Omicron surge was happening. Certainly, many groups were just getting back into full staffing. just getting back into full budgets, things like that made it harder for people to participate in person last year. We do have the on-demand event, which we can talk about later as well, which is an opportunity for people to participate virtually. But yeah, we had 9,000 last year, back to 14, 15,000 this year. So we're climbing back up to the numbers we've seen in the past. And it's great to see that coming back.
I'm excited because last year was my first CSM and I was thoroughly enjoying it. And everyone said, well, this is nothing. Like there's a whole bunch of people that aren't here. Like wait till next year. So next year is here.
Next year's here. And it really was funny in San Antonio. It's odd to be at a conference with 9,000 people at it and say it feels small. Most associations do not have events of that size. That really speaks to what CSM is, how huge it is, what a touch point it is for our profession, that something like that can feel almost intimate at 9,000 people. But yeah, we're going to be back up into the crowds. If you've never been to a CSM before, please do not roll out of your hotel first thing Thursday morning and assume there will be no line at Starbucks. There will be a line at Starbucks. It will be massive. Everyone else wants coffee too. We try to make coffee as readily available as possible, but ultimately it's a bunch of people in one spot with the same desire to be caffeinated. So keep that in mind.
Well, Jason, if I can plug Fox Rehabilitation for a second.
Sure.
We have a supercharged lounge, booth 2521. We are giving out free coffee. So if there's a long line at Starbucks, come to booth 2521. Not only will you get free coffee, but you can charge your phone.
Human charging and electronic charging all in one place. You guys have thought about everything.
All right, so Jason, you were talking about the virtual element of CSM. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so the in-person event happened, like I said, 350 plus educational sessions, all of that. Then we take about a third of that, and the sections identify which sessions get included. About a third of that in-person program we provide online for basically a month. And so from March 15th through April 15th is CSM On Demand. And so this is the second time we've done it in this model. Obviously, the year we went virtual, everything was virtual. That 1 year we did not have an in-person event. And so last year was the first year. This is the second of having this on-demand model. Anybody who goes to San Diego gets this for free. So the benefit obviously is if there's two sessions that are at the same time, you wish you could go to both. If that session's offered on demand, you could potentially go to one of them in person, pick up the other one on demand. If you can't make it to San Diego this year, then on demand is a great option. There are multiple ways to register. You can register and get CEUs, or if you want to save a little bit of money, maybe you don't feel you need the CEUs or more online CEUs, you can register for it at a cheaper rate just to get access to the content. And again, the great thing is that's taking 1/3 of the content and giving you 1 month to access as much of that as you want whenever you want. The on-demand part of it is great, just like, the sort of Netflix binge approach. You can spend 1 day churning through all of it if you want. You can chip away at it a few nights, here and there, however you want to go about it. But you get that 1 month access to all this content. So we really hope it expands the reach. Because when you go in person, never mind all the networking opportunities, all the other things there are to do, you can only be one place at one time. And there's so much great programming. And so this is an opportunity to really expand the access to all the great programming that CSM offers.
Dare I say that is genius? Because I can't tell you how many conferences I've been to. I'm like, do I do this or do I do that? Now you can do both.
Yes. Yeah. And we do hope that we get to a point where eventually most or all of CSM is available virtually on demand. The scale of that, nobody cares about meetings logistics, so I won't get into it. But when you have a conference of this size, the scale to be able to record everything live in the quality people expected and get that recorded is really massive. So we're exploring what that might look like in the future. But for now, this is a great way to let speakers reach an audience beyond who can make that specific place and time on a given day in San Diego.
No, I love that. All right, so let's get into the event. Yeah. I believe it properly kicks off Wednesday night, right? With the Mary McNillan lecture.
Absolutely. That's kind of the first. There's some pre-conference courses before that. Some people sometimes have kind of smaller meetings, but really the thing that kicks it off is the Mary McMillan lecture. It's the 54th this year. This is the most prestigious lecture that APTA offers. Eddie Field-Fote, who's a fantastic speaker, a great researcher, educator, is going to be talking about precision clinical practice. I have no doubt she'll be fantastic. That event is tied to the specialist recognition ceremony. So everyone who has got the latest class of people who have achieved special certification, our PTAs who have received advanced recognition, those folks will be celebrated and acknowledged for their hard work just after the McMillan lecture. So that's a great kickoff event, reception opportunity, all of that. So if you get in that day to be supercharged for the next morning, please do stop by. One of the cool kind of grounding visionary events that we offer. And then it really gets rolling into 3 days of action-packed programming, right? And that's Thursday through Saturday.
But yeah, before we get into that,
sure.
Eddie, right? That's her nickname.
Eddie Field-Fote. Yep.
Has she given you any hints as to what she's talking about?
Yeah, Eddie's talking about, precision care. And so I have not seen her notes or anything from the speech. I try to go into it and experience it just like everybody else. But really what I think she's talking about is obviously work moving away from wide variations in practice to providing the best precision medicine in a physical therapy context. And what that means in terms of the care itself and what that means in terms of the research that goes with that on down the line. So like I said, I've seen her speak before. She's fantastic. So it should be a great lecture.
I'm excited. Last year was Dolly Swisher, and she gave an excellent speech. So this got me like hyped up for CSM. So I'm excited to see Eddie speak on Wednesday. So then we go into Thursday. That's when the exhibit hall opens, and that's when CSM gets underway.
That's when everything fires up. And so, 3 days of educational sessions and 3 days of the exhibit hall being open. And it's basically the same kind of pattern every day, sessions starting in the morning. Then there's a chunk of unopposed time where nothing's going on. That's a chance to regroup, to get to your next session, to go to the exhibit hall, to grab a bite, to get the coffee you didn't get time to get to. Stop in Fox's booth if you want the free coffee, right?
2521.
There you go. And so that's the same pattern, day after day. The new person attendee tip is you're going to want to download the CSM app, which will be ready, by the week before the conference. That's where all the updated room locations go. You're going to need that to know where you want to be. So when you registered, you would have said, these are the sessions you're interested in. But to find out where those sessions are and to try to go attend those, you're going to want to get the app. So make sure you download that. We always send a know before you go email to all of our attendees, as the conference approaches, with all those tips you need to keep in mind as you show up on site. But that's the biggest one. You're going to want that app to survive. And I would strongly encourage people to not just wait until they're rushing for Starbucks to figure out where they're going Thursday morning. Come with the plan of attack. Come with your favorite session that you want to go to, and then your backup if somehow you can't get there or the room is full or whatever that is. If you do that, if you come with that kind of flexible approach, you're going to have a great time.
What are you doing during this time?
It's a great question, and it varies every year. If folks have been to CSM in past years and on Thursday morning, there's been somebody standing in a packed lobby yelling instructions and saying good morning and where to go, you've met me. So, sometimes it's little things like that, just helping where we need help with getting people moved around. So sometimes it's just pitching and doing things like that. I'll tend to give various presentations or have various meetings throughout the conference, helping our staff team. We'll send maybe 75 staff to CSM, and that's a lot of people. But compared to 14,000 plus, 15,000 plus people attending, that's not many people to support all those folks. And so, it's really a team effort on the staff side, trying to provide the best experience possible to our speakers, to our attendees, to our exhibitors. And so it's a lot of meeting people, mingling with people, solving problems as they arise. And generally, we tend to have a pretty great experience.
So how long do you plan CSM? I would assume more than a year. Like, I would think that you're probably planning for 2024 right now.
So like I said, already we are looking forward to CSM 2024 in that the deadline for education session proposals, if you want to be a speaker at CSM 2024, that's coming up on March 13th, right? Which is just after about a month after CSM 2023 has ended, just before the on-demand program has started, right? And so in that sense, all the things are in place. Right now our focus is solely on San Diego, but to give you a sense of how long we plan, We have booked locations for CSM all the way through 2029.
Oh my
That's how far
goodness.
out. Yeah, that's how far out we've contracted locations. That's because CSM is an unusually large meeting. There are only a few cities anymore that can hold us, that have the space available in both hotel space and convention center space that can hold what CSM has grown to become. And we know it's only going to get bigger. And so, yeah, we are contracting at least 5, usually 7, sometimes 10 years in advance to find locations to hold this meeting. And so in that sense, there's a lot of future planning. What do we think CSM will be by then? It's a lot of projecting about how it's going to change and evolve. But right now, where we are today, all our eyes are on San Diego.
All right, so you've seen the booth ideas come in, the presentation ideas come in, the topics and whatnot. What's sort of on your hit list? What's a must-see at this year's CSM? And I know you could say, oh, everything's going to be a hit, but what's big? What can't we miss out on?
Yeah, so I'll highlight 3 things. First of all, I want to give due credit. I mentioned staff. CSM does not happen without incredible member volunteers from each section. So we have section program chairs, section research chairs. These are volunteer members who go through all those proposals, decide which ones get approved, help manage speakers and make sure they get everything they need. They are amazing volunteers, super dedicated, super hard job. And we are very grateful for them, or else this meeting does not happen. So they're the ones who ultimately, any section program chair from any section would have maybe what their top 1 or 2 sessions might be. Certainly, depending on what you're interested in, whether it's neuro, whether it's pediatrics, et cetera, will depend on what's hot to you. What I'll highlight are not so much educational sessions, but some of those special events. And so we talked about the Macmillan Lecture already on Wednesday night. That's kind of the big Wednesday night anchor event. We have big anchor events on Thursday night and Friday night. So Thursday night, the big event is the PT Fund Celebration of Diversity. This is an event.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was my time of CSM last year.
Good. Well, if you had a great time last year, you're going to have an even better time this year. That event is a long-standing event at APTA, but this is only the second time it's been part of CSM, and we moved to CSM precisely so more people could participate. This year, it's at the USS Midway. So if you want to party on an aircraft carrier, this is your chance.
I
right?
do.
Yeah. So that's 7:30 to 10 p.m. that night. Tickets are $60, and that's a ticket with a purpose. That money goes directly to the PT fund. The money from the PT fund goes to our minority scholarship fund. And so you are helping improve diversity, equity, inclusion within the physical therapy profession when you buy that ticket for PT fund. So that's something I'd put on your list for Thursday night. Even if let's be clear, there's lots of parties at CSM. There's lots of places to go. There's also the unofficial parties that happen in the hotel lobby bar. It's all good, right? But make some time, spend that $60, stop by, have some refreshments, meet some people, get engaged, have that USS Midway experience. It's you can walk there if it's a nice night. It's close to the convention center. So that's Thursday night. And then you're definitely going to want to be caffeinated on Friday by stopping by Fox's booth, because that night we have the PT PAC 50th anniversary celebration. If you have ever been to a PT PAC party at CSM before, they're always fun. They're always lively. This one's special. It's special because it's the 50th anniversary. It's also special because it's at the House of Blues. The PT PAC held their party at the House of Blues the last time we were in San Diego. It is by far the most fun PT PAC party I have ever attended in my years at APTA. I have no doubt this one will be the same. And so that's from 9 to midnight. Tickets for PTs are $100, $50 for students. And so again, make time, stop by. Also, again, that money goes to good cause, funds the PT PAC, which is helping to influence what happens on Capitol Hill so we can get bills moved that help the profession and help the people that PTs and PTAs treat. So again, those are 2 events with purpose, with cause, and I promise people will have a slamming good time.
And within the exhibit hall, is there any booth or presentation that's just going to be out of this world?
There's going to be so much stuff. I mean, again, we're talking about we have 600 booths, and those are occupied by more than 400 companies. And so, yeah, that's a lot of stuff to see. You are going to want to spend probably multiple sessions going through the exhibit hall. Of course, I want to plug APTA has a big central APTA pavilion, and we're going to have everything there from swag that you can get to staff who can answer your questions about anything you want to know. our president, Roger Herr, and the board of directors are going to spend time mingling with members and hearing about what's on their mind. We're going to do some what we call APTA 10 talks, which are really informal 10-minute talks about things going on that just allow people to get a quick download of information.
Is that happening at your booth?
That's happening at the APTA Pavilion,
Okay.
right in the heart of the exhibit hall. Yep. And then there'll even be some, as long as there aren't too many, as long as the crowd isn't too huge, there'll be some APTA branded cornhole. So if you just need to relax a little bit,
all right,
do some cornhole, you can do that. But we tend to find people come, crash there, meet their people there. It's a good kind of meeting spot within the exhibit hall. And you will need a break. Like I said, it's a massive space. You're going to get your steps in at CSM. I promise you.
All right. So Jason, final lightning round.
Yeah.
I want you to tell our listeners how to approach it if you're a different type of demographic. So how would you approach CSM if you're a student? Let's say first or second year student.
Man, the student experience at CSM is special. They're wide-eyed. It's so much. It's a chance to see such great programming. The advice I would give to a student is do not be shy about approaching anyone. One of the wonderful things about the profession is how accessible speakers are, other leaders within the association. It's the students who are brave enough to go up and introduce themselves to someone who often find a mentor for the rest of their career. Like that's how it happens. It's no fancier than that. It's being willing to go up and ask somebody a question and start a conversation. And that happens at CSM all the time. And the number of those connections we've made, that CSM has made that last throughout careers, I mean, just countless. And so that's what I would say is, go in open-eyed, go in with an open heart, go up and try to devour everything you possibly can at CSM, and you're going to have a great experience.
Dr. Carol Lewis will not bite you.
Right, exactly.
All right, so how do you approach CSM if you're looking for a job?
Oh man, that's a great question. Certainly there'll be folks in the exhibit hall who are definitely trying to provide opportunities. So that is one place to start. But, informally, in our satisfaction surveys that we do after every CSM, the top thing that everybody says was most valuable about CSM is the educational sessions. That's not a surprise. It is an educational conference. But the second most popular, valuable thing is the networking every single year. And so it's start saying what you're looking for, start asking people questions. There's no better time to look across the room and see somebody who's doing what you want to do and go up to them and say, how did you get that job? And so again, it's similar to the advice for the students. Don't be afraid to approach people and ask the question, because you may find there's a door opening either where they are or they know how to point you to something else that they've heard about out there.
What's the best way to enjoy CSM if you are a seasoned clinician?
Seasoned clinicians, that's a great one. So I remember, I think it was Andrew Guccione, a past Macmillan lecturer, who talked about, when you're, I'm paraphrasing, but basically when you're a young PT, you think you know everything. And by the time you're an older PT, you realize you know nothing. And so I think for the seasoned PT, and I'm speaking not as a PT, but from listening to other PTs talk, it's go into CSM expecting you're to learn something you don't know, despite all your experience. And I would advise them to look for sessions that are outside of their comfort zone, that will push them at least to think in a way that they haven't thought about in a while. And my guess is they'll come away rewarded by that.
Jason Bellamy, there's a reason why you are the Senior Vice President of Member Experience at APTA. One last question.
Sure.
How do you approach CSM if you're looking to obtain a whole bunch of free stuff?
Exhibit hall for sure. There is swag, so much swag at the exhibit hall. One of my favorite annual experiences is traveling home from CSM, and as you're standing at the airport, it is absolutely obvious who is coming back from CSM because of the swag that they could not fit in their carry-on or whatever that they're holding in their hands. You will see it at every airport on the way back from CSM. So yeah, go through the exhibit hall. You're going to get your swag for sure.
And you got to be shameless. Like if you see something you like, go up to the booth and get what you want.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the swag's there for a reason. They want you to come talk to them and take it. Seize the opportunity.
All right. So Jason, thank you so much for the time today. I will see you. I'm going to track you down at CSM and we'll have a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. I'm around. And it's funny you say that. I mean, as massive as it is, it is remarkable to me how many times I run into all the people I knew were going to be there without any plans. Somehow, despite the sea of people, you tend to find your people. So yeah, I'll see you there. Can't wait to meet other people. If you listen to this podcast and want to have any questions for me, please stop me if you see me, and happy to tell you more about what we do and help you maximize the value of your APTA membership.
So once again, APTA's Combined Sections Meeting, aka CSM, is happening February 23rd through the 25th at the San Diego Convention Center in San Diego, California.
Followed by On Demand. Don't forget about On Demand. Registration's still open for that.
So for Jason Bellamy, my name is Jim Shear, and we will see Yins later.